today. Well, let's talk about some new rumours emerging that 3/4 of employees lack faith in their bosses. Insync Surveys, though, out with a new report. This one here, it says executive leadership's more important than your immediate boss. This latest report entitled Why People Stay, How to Keep Your Best Employees, saying, in essence, there are no quick fixes for longer-term retention. Employees need fulfilling, stimulating roles within an organisation. However, here's the conundrum. Anemic wages growth. We got a reminder of that one today, did we not? Rising unemployment. Just days ago, that one was underscored for us. Question being, should a happy employee be at top of the list for employers? Well, Insync CEO Nicholas Barnett is live from our Melbourne studio for you this afternoon. Nicholas, let's get into the survey in a minute, but just taking a bigger picture step back on things as mentioned, there we have, I suppose, those competing downwinds at the moment for employers and employees. In essence, very anemic wages growth and rising unemployment. How do you shoot home this message that retention's a priority in that environment?
Carson, look, it's a great question and something that all executives need to be thinking about, but we're certainly at the moment, and certainly for the last few years, we've had a real low growth environment. It's been tough for employers. They've had to increase their productivity. We've got increasing competition locally and globally. We're not going to see the same growth that we saw sort of 5-10 years ago, and we just automatically assumed that that would continue. So it's a tougher environment, so more important than ever, you've got to keep your best employees and you've got to get more and more out of them in the creative ways that really engages the employees, and do it in a way that, yes, they say, yes, I'm part of that, I love that, I want to be working for this great company.
It all begins, as you would say, with what? Analysing what it is that employees value. How clearly defined is that in organisations? Yes,
we did some related research, Carson, on comparing the main things that differentiate high-performance organisations from low-performance organisations. And the single biggest difference, and the single thing that executives need to think about if they want to be truly high-performing, is actually their senior leadership having a real vision for the future of the organisation that inspires the employees. That's the single biggest difference. So that sort of says employers need to build some meaning and purpose into the roles. They don't want people just coming to just put one brick on top of the other, so to speak. They don't want people coming just to build a wall. They actually want them coming to build a great cathedral and find meaning and purpose in doing that.
And therein lies the problem, Nicholas, because a survey that is out tomorrow, I'm not allowed to say where it's from because it's under embargo, but I am able to tell you that 3/4 of Australians believe their workplaces need better management and leadership. There's no confidence in that very vision that you've just said is so important.
Yeah, and I'm not too surprised at those results. There's a long way to go for leadership in this country, and I think we need a whole new paradigm about being employers taking the lead and being responsible for the engagement of their employees and setting the example and being the great role model.
Talk to me, and talk to, if you could, this idea of a performance focus. Are we talking there dollars and cents, or is there something alongside that that can match the moolah?
Yeah, so in our research that we've just put out, we've said that the third item and number 3 of 5, if you want your employees to be staying a long time, if you want them to really envisage a future for themselves, then those employees that will say, yes, I'll be part of that, want to find that the organisation has a real commitment to best practice, a real commitment to high standards of performance. Now, employees judge that in many, many different ways, but there's no doubt in our mind that employees that say, yes, my organisation has a really high commitment to high performance, then those employees are saying, yes, I envisage I'm going to be here a long time.
How do you make that best practice clear to people? It's probably a very difficult one to even define, isn't it?
Well, I think it probably starts, we've talked about vision, but I think then the next step is to have really clear strategies and goals that all employees understand. Make it accessible. You know, we see 35, 80-page, 500-page strategies. Put it on a page so that people understand it. They understand the goals. They understand how their work connects to the goals of the company. And then once they know how their work connects, then you can put performance measures in place to show them and make it very transparent about whether they're actually achieving those standards or not, and can even potentially compare with their peers and others to say, well, actually, yeah, I'm really performing well.
How do
so
you
they will know.
How do you distinguish that with values? Because that is your fourth metric on retention. They seem quite similar.
Yeah, look, it's all related, and all these things are related, of course, but values are probably come from a different angle. So values are, so employees will stay and envisage a long-term future if they think the organisation's values driven. If there are values and behaviours that guide their everyday work, if the organisation is fair about how it allocates resources, if the organisation has respect for the employees and tells them about what changes are coming and why, and basic, simple integrity and respect for your employees is what employees, in my view, I'm sure in yours and many of your listeners' view, should rightly expect.
You talk about, therefore, the pride and the ability to be an advocate. What happens if that isn't even encouraged? If that is almost frowned upon? That's it's a very kind of, it's like 2 steps forward, 3 back.
So, Carson, that's number 5, and it's probably more an outcome of the others. So if somebody's really fulfilled in their role, they're being developed, if there's inspiring leadership, if there's a performance focus in the organisation and there's a real value-based organisation, employees are far more likely to, yes, I'm really proud of this place because of all those things, and actually I'm so proud I'm going to tell others and I'm going to advocate for the organisation. So probably you could see that more as an outcome measure as opposed to an input.
And you rightly point in this environment of retrenchment that how those unfortunate enough to be under that scenario, how they're dealt with during a restructure really has a ripple effect into perceptions of the remaining employees, not just for 5 minutes, but for years to come.
Well, I think that is so true, and I think we can all, I can tell you a whole bunch of examples that of folklore of people and organisations that have done retrenchments really badly. It does hang around, people remember it years and years later, and that's if you're a values-based organisation, if you have respect for your employees, if you've got integrity around the process, you'll treat your employees, current ones, you'll support them through the process, but you'll also support those you're letting off through the process.
Is voting with your feet finally that practical an outcome, though, as we started this discussion, in light of what we see bigger picture? An environment of rising unemployment where people are head down and, to be talking values is almost a luxury.
Yeah, so that's, I think going back to the very first point we were talking about, Carson, people head down, bum up, working really hard. So are they there just putting, as I said, putting one brick on top of another, or are we just building this wall, or are we really there? We're excited, we're building this cathedral, and we're a really important part of that, and we're the bricklayer that's building the wall, working with everyone else to put this together, or am I just damn well coming to work to put one brick on top of the other and go home and take my pay with me?
Is it a cathedral or is it the Tower of Babel? Nicholas Barnett, I suppose that's the way one has to view it. And it's all about an attitude in that respect. Thank you so much.
Great pleasure, Carson.
Insync Surveys CEO Nicholas Barnett.